Hi guys, welcome to Split the Party. We now have a Patreon page. Our Patreon is patreon.com/splittheparty, where you can support us through numerous tiers from $5 to $70. And then the various tiers give you things such as being able to play a campaign with us online, campaign, or even just something as simple as getting some extra content from us. Plenty of options for you to go through, and just give us what you can, or if you want, we appreciate anything you can give us.
All the support will go towards getting us new gear, finally paying our editors, just improving the just general quality of everything that we can make.
Every dollar will go back into the show to make more content, basically.
Yeah. And like the more that we get support, we can expand and maybe like get a bigger place, or not have to film in my apartment, or get a bigger.
Sounds like an
money you get?
Get a bigger.
Get me a new house.
Get a bigger. I meant like rent a space
that I can live in.
That I can also live in. Patreon.com/splittheparty.
One of the rooms you pay for will be used.
Every little bit helps.
That's patreon.com/splittheparty. Please help us.
We are on Wairungan country, and we just want to acknowledge the elders, families and forebears of the Bunwurrung and Wairungan tribes of the indigenous people who are the traditional owners of the land, and pay our respects to all their leaders, past, present and emerging. Alright, so let me introduce you to our panel. I am Scarlet Moth. I am an artist and a cosplayer, but mainly I play lots of D&D online. I play on streams, as well as I've started DMing my own game on Twitch. We'll go down the panel, starting with Burrows Red.
Hi, I'm Burrows Red. I am a streamer on Twitch. I'm also a cosplayer, writer, a whole bunch of other things that I dabble in, but I also play D&D online. I'm DMing my own campaign on the Wisdom Saves channel. It is the book club campaign. We play every Tuesday. It's pretty cool.
Hello, my name is Alyssa Grant, and I am the senior producer and partnerships manager at Penny Arcade. And I also produce Acquisitions Incorporated and the C Team. And I guess I've been playing in D&D for a while, so also that. And I used to be a producer over at Wizards of the Coast as well.
And she's amazing as well. And Matt?
Hi, I'm Matt Brown. I am the producer and host of Split the Party on YouTube. We play D&D fairly regularly. I'm about to release our third season in the next couple of weeks. We don't stream yet, but I would like to. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. And I think that's about it.
I'm Alex. I'm a marketing manager and a writer. I play and run D&D on various streams, and I'm on the creative council for a streaming channel, Variant Rolls.
Hi, my name is DW, and DM's Guild and TTRPG creator, writer, and artist sometimes. I'm a player in Moth's Planescape campaign.
And has contributed to the amazing Uncaged anthology on DM's Guild.
Oh yes, thank you. And terrible memory.
I think we can all speak the same. So first off, I think we need to get the basics out of the way. How did we all get into playing Dungeons & Dragons as well as the other tabletop role-playing games that we all participate in?
Oh, no, okay.
Whoever wants to jump in.
I started playing, so I first played a Pathfinder game at PAX. Had no idea what I was doing. It was a couple of years ago. I just kind of rolled dice and went, I want to do things. And I really enjoyed it. I ended up playing a D&D campaign for quite a while, so most of my experience is with D&D. And that's where that began. Just a little home game.
I started playing when I was 16 or 17. I think I started with first edition. And then I've made my way through the editions, with the exception of 4. Sorry. And then, gosh, I guess now I play a ton of different TRPGs and just storytelling games and board games across the board. So like Tales from the Loop is absolutely incredible. Call of Cthulhu is phenomenal. Like I could go on and on about which games are great, but yeah. So I play a myriad of them.
Yeah, I mean, I started playing a little bit of D&D when I was in high school, but I bounced off it quite quickly because we were playing kind of in the nerd area with people like sneering at us, and also I was just finding it hard to get into it because it was 4th edition. I'm sorry, 4th. But then a couple of years ago, I started to get interested in D&D again by watching Acquisitions Incorporated and other shows on the D&D Twitch channel, which encouraged me to actually try and play again and pick it back up. And then that also has given me an idea of the kind of games I'd like to listen to and also the kind of games I like to play.
I also started in 4th edition. I started about 5 years ago where I don't know if he's in the room right now, but my friend Steven introduced us to it, and I instantly fell in love with the game because I love just doing the whole improv storytelling thing collaboratively. And then we ended up trying to take that into a recorded format later on with Split the Party, and then, I mean, I guess thanks to him, this is where we are now. But 4th edition, man. Like, it's alright, it's fine. It's more board gamey than I would have liked, but 5th is really just it elevated that game for me so much more. And
I will say, with 4th, it does have its good areas, but it was very video gamey.
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against it. It did promote tactics in the game a lot more, and I'm a little bit more metagaming side of things, which is fine if you're into that. But I know that the general consensus was not.
I'm into that.
Yeah.
I got into D&D when 5th edition came out with all of my arcade gaming friends who we were all kind of getting a bit older, our knees were starting to hurt, so DDR wasn't really that practical for us anymore. So we thought, why not jump on this Dungeons & Dragons thing? 5th edition had just come out, it was really accessible for us to get started. And that was just after it had come out. And then I moved to Melbourne, but we still play because of the internet. So I don't know if any of my original crew are here today in the room. Yeah, hello. Most of them have gone to watch other things because they can talk to me whenever they like. But yeah, so 5th edition, and haven't really looked back. I play a lot of Call of Cthulhu now. I really want to get into Vampire. I love indie one-pager games, as Moth can attest.
Yes.
The crazier the better. And yeah, that's about where I'm at now.
Nice. I guess I came out from a little bit of a different angle. Actually I started when I was studying game design at AIE, and I'd never played a TTRPG, tabletop role-playing game before that, until we did our paper prototypes. And then I was like, oh, you know what, let's slide a few little narrative mechanics in there. My best friend was like, have you played D&D? I'm like, no.
It's for nerds.
Yeah, D&D's for nerds. That's also, I put it on the shelf. Till a friend and I were just bored on PlayStation chat, as we do with our interstates chats, and I saw a Humble Bundle for like a OSR pack, and I bought it and was like, hey, what do I roll up a character? So we did, and I was like, oh, let's just play around. And that's when we first started our campaign, which is then moved to 5e, and we still play it 2 years on. And yeah, for a good 6 months, we were just theatre of the mind over PlayStation chat, so...
PlayStation chat.
Yeah, the artist is not the tools. And now, yes, streaming, all that is very good. Yeah.
A lot of people I've talked to have said they wanted to get into D&D, but they complain that there's no one near, they don't know anyone near them who wants to play, or they can't find a group or a time to sit down together and play.
Who's in Melbourne and wants to do that, like, this weekend? Did anyone? Oh, there's no one, those hands up? Oh, there's it. Hey, come play D&D with me in tabletop. Alex is also running a bunch of stuff. Come play for the first time.
Come play Tal'Darai games and tabletop with me.
And where do we find that?
The tabletop area.
I'm not playing till later tonight.
I
came straight to you.
Can we do it? No.
I will also say that there is an acting module there that takes about 1 to 2 hours that you can hit up. It's called Side Hustle, and it's an official D&D acting module as well. And that's in the organized play area. I think between doors 7 and 8, but I wouldn't know.
about playing D&D for those who haven't played and would like to learn. The Diversity Lounge has D&D sign-ups for learn to play D&D and start smashing out the lost minds of what she said. And I'll be running a couple of those as well. So yeah.
That's classic. So that's one solution. Just come and play at PAX, and you'll be able to experience D&D if you haven't already. Once a year. That's okay. That's probably how often most D&D groups meet up anyway.
Scheduling is a CR20 monster.
This is too real.
I know that if you want to meet up and play in person, Good Games hosts Adventurers League, I think every Tuesday in Melbourne. So they have a really good sign-up process. You can just come in with no experience, a level 1 player, and they will put you at a table with like-minded individuals, and you guys can also experience the game together.
If all your friends live interstate or overseas, or you don't know anyone in your home city, the internet's the way to go.
Yeah. I think, just generally speaking, a lot of people that I have spoken to who are in communities of D&D oftentimes start by watching, D&D on Twitch or on Facebook, on, Twitter, you name it. And what I found is that there are a lot of games cropping up by people who have met in the community who are just fellow, consumers of this content. So, I highly suggest, just chatting with some of the people in your community and also, just seeing if anyone is available for a game, because sometimes it's also easier than going in person and being vulnerable in a store. I know for a lot of people that's a little overwhelming, so just being able to, jump on Skype or Discord, chatting with people, whether you've met them or not in person, is really helpful.
That's how I've gotten into a lot of the groups I'm currently in as well, is through meeting people on Twitter or getting to know people better in the communities for the shows I watch or the things that I like. And it's how I got this group together, was the power of the internet. It's magic.
I don't think I've met 5 out of 6 of the people on this panel until yesterday.
I met everybody on this panel in person just before the panel.
I've never met any of these people, please help me.
Link twice if you've been held hostage.
I feel like we've deviated from that question a significant amount. So I just want to deviate more. I believe when I woke up this morning, I think Tales from the Loop is actually free for limited time.
Yes.
Oh,
right,
So
yes.
heads up with
If anyone's unfamiliar
Drive-through RPG.
Yes, if anyone's unfamiliar with Tales from the Loop, if you like Stranger Things, you'll like Tales from the Loop. You're playing as young adults and teens in the 80s who are solving mysteries and
like a Scooby-Doo kind of thing?
yeah, it's kind of.
I don't know anything about it, so I'm
but
like...
also a bit spooky and yeah, it's definitely a coming of age story.
You die when you hit 16. It's really good.
I can't remember what we were saying before that.
Oh, that's over.
Yeah, the
Next
internet,
question.
I guess.
Yeah, internet.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, definitely. Hang out in the D&D and TTRPG hashtags on Twitter an obscene amount, because that's how I met Moth. And in terms of finding games via the internet, Twitter has been the best for that. I've been on about 6 different streaming channels, and streaming is not actually that scary. Especially with the smaller channels, because when you start out there's like 4 people watching, and if you live in an apartment there's probably 4 people watching you anyway. So it's not really that different to a home game. It's not nearly as scary as you think.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for a game and the only ones that seem to be going in hashtags and people are saying, hey, we need players for this game, it's streamed, and you think, well, streaming's a bit scary, it's not.
It's really not.
It's really not.
Yeah, if you've got a headset and a webcam, you're already good to go.
Yeah.
And the best thing about being able to play at home is all the home comforts, because you don't need to drive anywhere. You can have your meal in front of the webcam.
Don't put pants on.
Yes.
I have played before I've put a jumper on over the top of my pajamas and no one knows a thing. Because webcam.
Yeah, full face of makeup, nice shirt,
Yep.
PJs.
Yep.
Yeah.
So How do you think that the perception of TRPGs has shifted over the years since the digital age of TRPGs?
I think, well, especially recently, it's back in vogue and it's become not necessarily a cool thing to do, though it's definitely being more widely accepted as this is something that people do. You don't have to be in the stereotype of kind of the 80s shut-in nerd, but you can be anyone, you can, from any background, and you can just play this cooperative game with your friends. And I think that's in no small part thanks to games being streamed on the internet, and such as all the D&D live games. Critical Role, of course, is the one which everyone knows. All these podcasts and streams which are widely available on like Spotify, on all these different platforms, is just making it easier for people to see that it's there. And I think also the fact that there are lots of tools to be able to play D&D online, and other RPGs as well. Because this isn't just D&D, but also tabletop role-playing games in general.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that, with the emergence of itch.io, with a lot of indie games, with game jams, but also their physical game page. If any of you haven't checked that out, definitely check that out.
That was one of the games that we first actually played together, was an itch.io one-page RPG called Big Mother Effing Crab Truckers, which is as ridiculous as it sounds, but so much fun.
Called the follow-up sequel Crab Rave.
No.
Yeah, good. I made that joke, yeah. Too late, I'm already here.
The entry point is not as difficult as people would think, especially because the thing which people say to me most often is, how do I get started? Or I'm having trouble understanding some of the rules and I don't want to ask questions, or I don't want to seem like I don't want to be needy, or I don't want to keep holding the game up. Is you can always just start with other beginners or with these entry-level RPGs. It's really easy to pick up.
And also playing online, you have an excellent tool at your disposal. It's called Google. It's great.
Also, I believe there's maybe a couple of rules lawyers on Twitter, so you could just ask the question and put a hashtag. You're probably going to get arrested.
300 different answers.
But that's true.
I mean, you just choose the one that has two of the same answer in that case, and then you've at least got a majority of rules if everyone's got one else on the other thing.
And if you need a rapid response, just make it a statement that's wrong.
I am very curious. Raise of hands. How many people here watch or consume tabletop role-playing games via Twitch? Okay, and what about podcasts? And how many would say that your main platform is podcast? Interesting. Cool. Now, how many of you record or stream yourselves? And how many of you are interested in doing so? Hey!
So you can look around in here and possibly get a group together that you want to record and stream now, and you can go on Discord or Skype or whatever your method of contact is, Facebook chat, I don't
Don't
know.
use Skype, it will eat up all your bandwidth.
Yes.
Yeah, there's like
Process.
3 or 4 groups in the room right now.
Yeah,
just
at least.
waiting to happen.
Yeah, so something that I've experienced a lot of discussions around is, so most people are afraid to start or don't know how to start, don't know where to start. And a lot of people think that the way to get into the digital space when it comes to playing games in general, you have to have the, highest end tech. And in my mind, I think it's actually quite the opposite. You should start with whatever you have, whether it's a very basic camera, whether you have really, shitty microphones, actually. Like, just jump into it because you can only expand on it, and all that matters is that you feel comfortable and that you're having fun in there. Otherwise, there's really no point to playing games in general if you just remove those aspects of it.
Also, the kind of challenges that you'll come across facing, like if you are only using cameras and that kind of thing, and you don't have the ability to show off the space, you're using a lot more skills and developing a lot more from doing that, rather than starting with all of that at the start.
And don't forget text-based either, especially in Discord or in Roll20. You don't even really need camera, microphone. You can do the whole thing text-based.
If any of you ever played text-based RPGs on the internet back in the day, congratulations, you can play D&D.
They're probably already dead.
Yeah.
And something that a lot of people also say is, what if I don't get anyone, or what if I don't get any viewers, And actually that doesn't really matter. You have to start somewhere, and even if you don't get, 5 concurrent viewers for the first couple months, just practicing and feeling comfortable in that space in general is worth it in my mind. And you might find that, your table dynamic will change. You might find that you will suss out some of the issues that you didn't know you would, right? So just jump in, dive in. Like, there's no point in waiting. You should just start as soon as possible.
On the note of the mic thing as well, we still use the same crappy $20 eBay mics we bought 4 years ago for our show to this day. You just find something that works for you and you stick with it, because it will just pay off in the end. You don't have to. There's not a high bar of investment you need to get started either, if you want to stream or podcast or do whatever you want. But for the love of God, start audio, because I started video and that was a lot more work than just doing the audio side of things.
And that includes if you have a launch PS4, those mics are, they're holding just right,
Yeah.
I'm so amazed that you played over PS4 chat.
Yeah, for about 6 months.
I had no idea.
And you can just look at the marketplace, it's very relaxing. But adding to what Alyssa said about just getting in there, also if you want to feature on someone else's stream, it's good that you have a few VODs of how you already played, for example. They can just, as a way of just...
Almost like an audition reel-ish kind of thing.
Yeah,
the DM can see how you play, you can see what you want to do, if you're good at improvising, or what your play style is as well. It'll help.
Just say yes to stuff.
Yeah.
Even if it feels terrifying, just say yes to things. Even if the time zone means that you're getting up at 8 a.m. to play a tabletop game every Saturday for 6 weeks. Just say yes. You'll hate it for about 10 minutes and then it'll be wonderful.
Yeah, another setback a lot of people talk about includes editing software, and there's a ton of free editing software, including Audacity is great for audio. You don't have to have Audition through Adobe. Also, you can get the video package on Adobe for pretty cheap. So there are a lot of ways to have accessible tools if you just look online. There's a ton of stuff.
If you do want to do video, I know DaVinci Resolve 14 is free entirely, and it's an industry standard color grading program and editing software. It is very good if you do not want to put money into it, and it's so good.
Yeah.
If you want, Windows Movie Maker is there.
It works. Quite honestly, it does.
I've used it. It's not that bad.
Another good one for audio is Reaper. They do a really good trial, and it's a really powerful tool to use for video-based podcasts too.
I know it's a little bit different for you, Alyssa, because you're behind the camera for the C team, and you're helping to run the stream side of things, whilst the players are actually all there in person. How do you find that experience? It's an in-person game, but streamed over the internet.
Yeah, that's there are different dynamics definitely to each type of game. So you have your in-person, let's just say TRPG games. Your in-person TRPG games that you might be recording. That's what we do for C Team. You have your over, Skype or Discord games, and there's a certain level of removal there. But you might be able to interact with your live audience more in that case. So with C Team, I would say it's the table just sitting there playing and having fun, but they don't necessarily get any feedback from the audience, with the exception of we have a screen that when anyone in chat posts an emote, they can see an emote floating up on the screen. So, for example, every single time Amy says "kakra," there's just a ton of kakras that go up on the screen. And that's a really interesting way of doing it, where they're not super concerned about the feedback of the audience, so they're not in their heads, but it also removes them from the audience. So there are pros and cons, I think, to every type of game. With streamed game, or with remote games, you do have to pause and wait for someone to stop talking, and there's not as much cross-table chat, just because you don't really get that opportunity, or else you will talk over someone. So figure out what you're comfortable with, I suppose.
Yeah, I found in my games where everyone's in a different location is that that's really heightens the amount of role playing that people do and the amount of theatre of the mind. And I found that I start to describe my actions a lot more, or describe what my character is doing a lot more, just to paint a word picture. I still do tend to use my hands a lot, and I'll often reach towards the camera and then realise, oh, people can't really see me doing that very well. But it's definitely helped me to evolve my own role playing.
Have you found it difficult to transition back into playing in person with people?
Well, I basically never play in person with people because all the people I play with are either interstate, so like at least 3 hours drive away, or in the United States or the UK. So I play in a game every Wednesday morning Australian time with people who are mostly over in the United States. And that's what D&D and playing online can do, is that these people are playing in the evening, I'm playing in the morning on the next day, and we're still really immersed in this story and in these characters, and I forget that we don't play in person half the time.
And that's part of the reality of playing on the internet too, is that time zones will break your heart every time because it is all in Eastern Standard Time.
Or in Australia's case, we have 5 time zones at the moment.
Yeah.
For literally daylight savings time.
I think Moth made a really good point about how the narrative aspect of the story has been heightened because of remote play. Have you guys experienced the same thing?
Yes and no. Depends. I think it depends on the group. Because I had a group that we were playing purely through Discord, and I noticed that there would be some personalities that would speak up a lot more and be more engaged with the story, but because they weren't at the table physically, you also had players that didn't do that as much. So it's kind of like the give and take situation. It might just be a player preference thing, but you do have to describe a lot more on the online format. As a result, I guess, like the DM, the DM also more like has to, I guess, write a little more and be that bit more descriptive. Like that was my experience with it.
Writing? Planning a session? What's that?
Alright, well, I mean, like in that sense, it's like A, B, middle part, go for it. Like that's the basis of my writing most of the time.
But yeah. I also found my experience with having groups together for online games is how much more role-playing there is. I went through a 4 to 6 session module that took 13 episodes. Like, they just wanted to talk to each other, they wanted to interact, they wanted to witness the world, and it was just really nice.
In one of my old games, because of all the role-playing we were doing, we spent about 10 to 12 sessions, I think it was about 10, and we didn't even get to level 3. Yeah.
And I think that speaks to being comfortable because you're in your own environment, you're in your own home. If you don't have other people awkwardly watching Andre Rieu there, you can just go crazy with your voices. Also, improv props around. It's bananas now again, and there is that thing. Even if it's just your friends, you do feel like you're kind of, in front of a camera. But you do get that kind of showmanship that you're just like, let's get a bit fun. I can see myself in a little corner and see what faces I can make.
Yeah, I think it depends as well whether it's streamed or not. Because I play in a game online where all of my friends are in Brisbane and I'm dialing in, and that game is extremely casual, and I'm not sure it is actually called Filthy Casuals. And that game, I probably don't amp up the role playing very much because it's a very relaxed kind of chill home game. But as soon as I'm aware that I'm on stream, definitely you have to describe things a bit more and lean into all of the other ways that you can bring a character to life. But you definitely don't have to be streaming if you're playing digitally. So you can be as chill and as relaxed as you like. This is a fortnightly game that we play that I dial in for, and it is honestly the highlight of my week because it's just such a chill, relaxed game. I think we've been the same level for many months now, and that's perfectly okay. So
I think that's something we can touch on quickly before we jump over to questions, is that, you don't have to be releasing your games to other people to be able to listen into or watch. There's tools such as Tabletop Simulator, Roll20 is a huge one, and if you don't have Discord or any of that, Roll20 does have voice and video chats built into it. If you don't have dice, it has the dice rollers built into it. You can have maps. It's all there. There's all these programs that you can use, which facilitates ease of play. So if you don't want to do complete theatre of the mind, you can still have your digital minis with your map and or your character items, your sheets. It's all there. You just have to look for it.
Yeah, and it kind of tack onto that too. I think a large portion of, like for session 0 for us, for example, we figured out exactly what kind of game we want, whether that's, an encounter, mechanic, heavy game, if we want to do like min-maxing, or if we want a more narrative game. And that also, I think, determines what kind of tools we use as well. Yeah. So you were talking about Roll20, Roll20 is awesome if you want to have a more mechanics-heavy game because you can integrate rolling, you can show a grid, So I think figure out what kind of game you want and then figure out what tools can help you with that sort of feel to the game.
And also, adding to that, more from the running side, so if you're a DM or GM, you can get a bit creative, with what you're using to give to players and send to players. So, for example, you might have a secret message that could be like a text prompt that you just send one player. You can have like a little whisper chats with a certain player, if they've got like a little deity that's their wall patron, etc. Or if you're in a good group of friends, like do an example. Let's say some of us are some friends. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of prep as a DM. So one thing that I like to do with my home game is post out some little things. So for example, we'll pretend that you're my friend. This person in the front row and behind you as well, you two. And let's say the person behind as well. Let's say your seat is your home address, and we're friends obviously, so it's cool. And I've posted you, 4 different envelopes, and you finally enter the last room of the dungeon. You open up 3 different chests, and I just need you to check your mailbox, which is under your seat. If you could, seriously. As well.
This wasn't planned at all. Oh, look, there are things.
And you find some items. One of you has a map of a strange faraway place, probably called Hyrule. I don't know. But yeah, that's an example. And you can bring that, that's the one thing that you miss from, being at a table, is that kind of, in-person interaction of, from person to person. We're not touching. It's just light and photons, or light is photons, I guess.
And if we were to have a whisper now, everybody else would know about it.
Yeah.
Whereas the advantage of playing online is you can do all of that very, very sneakily.
Yeah, and send them a magic item that's like, oh yeah, it's a +1 sword, but what the other players don't see is that, it whispers you soliloquies every now and then about cheese. You can get fun and physical and tactile. It might just take a little bit of prep. Think outside the box.
That's what we do in my Planescape game, is that when, as a player in the room, cover your ears. Is that when...
And everybody else just stare at him while he just...
Is that when DW's character's warlock patron is speaking to them, I ask everyone else to take off their headphones so they don't know what's happening or who's speaking to their character, and then I just get a thumbs up on the screen when it's time to bring everyone back in, and then they can go off and do their own thing and look at the screen and look like everyone looks so worried all of a sudden.
I think one of the really good things about having the ability to say things privately as well is also player safety. If at any point someone feels uncomfortable or they're not really sure why, but maybe they're just feeling a little out of it, they're able to send you a quick little message, and you just have this little private understanding that, you know, they might need some time, or we need to go over something, or we need to avoid this completely, or whatnot.
I think that's something which I'm really thankful for the internet for, is this, the safety tools for RPGs, but they're there. Like, people have safety packets for, it's like O, X, and N.
Yeah.
For if you're feeling like if something's okay, you just type in an O in chat, it's like yes. If something's iffy, an N. If something's like a hard no, if someone's crossing a line, or if it's broaching a subject you don't want to talk about, you just type an X or just go like that. And it's also normalized the fact that these issues do exist in games. People can also get bleed over of emotions from their characters or have trouble separating these things, and it's normalized the fact that you can talk about it and it's okay to be uncomfortable and talk to the other players or your DM about it. It's a safe space, and you're wanting to create an environment where everyone can have fun together.
Yeah, and adding to that, like the digital age, like the people that for you know, as far as you know, they're comfortable with it. That you know, on the stream you can just type in a letter straight to the DM and they see it.
Yeah.
And then they can, you know, think where things are going to go from there. So if you're looking at running a streamed or online game, definitely look up safety tools and plan session 0.
Kiana S on Twitter has some very good safety tools for playing tabletop role-playing games.
On that note, you actually at the table as well, because you do have, like, if you're a table that allows phones as well, like as a DM, I'll have my phone sitting up there, just kind of behind my screen, and then my players can also message me anytime if there is something they also want to say. So we're still integrating digital tools at the table, and then they can go like, oh, can I be a werewolf for a little bit? I'll be like, yes, do that. And then similarly with, yes, you get bit by a small dog. We'll find out later. But then, like, if they are also feeling unsafe, they can just direct message me, because I will just look at it and then steer away, and then they don't have to feel like they need to bring it up. Just so if someone doesn't want to or is comfortable bringing it up, that is totally fine.
Yeah.
I think now we are going to get some audience questions. So if you have a question you want to ask any of us, then we have our lovely enforcers. Just pop your hands up and they'll come around with a microphone. Also, this is the part where we have items to give away. We have. That's a big thumb. Yes. The brand new D&D Essentials kit provided to us by Wizards of the Coast. We have.
More hands coming up now, huh?
I know you. I got your back.
We've also got a mini hex chest from Elderwood Academy. It comes with a mini set of dice, and could you just take that out of the little thing?
Oh, no.
It is ebony wood. It looks very lovely.
It smells really nice too.
And we also have one more thing. It's actually a few things that a great company called Random Encounter Dice have given us. It is a dice bag. It's actually called a complete gamer's pack. It is 2 sets of dice in a dice bag, a dice jail, a tray, and a dice tower. Yes. So. They can't hear me. Could you lift those up?
The beautiful person over the side with the red hair and the denim jacket who's holding their hands up.
Huh? What?
You.
So this is the complete gamers pack. It's all in flat pack at the moment because we don't want to ruin it for you guys. But also in the dice pack, they have got some lovely pride-colored dice in translucence. I hope you like.
But there's a catch. We'll roll a d6.
We have a lovely dice fairy for us that is going to help you roll your d6. Steph, could you stand up, please? Dress everyone. How cool is that? Alright.
Hi, Matt.
Hello.
Some of you guys have your streams and that kind of thing on Spotify and stuff as well. How hard was it to get started on that kind of platform? And if not Spotify, what's the easiest one you found to work with, other than say, Twitch and Roll20 or something, or Discord?
I was going to say Twitch is definitely the easiest.
Yeah.
Anchor does as well. Anchor as well is an option for podcast type.
Yeah, I think it's more like less of a video side because we'll be moving the podcast, right? But yeah, so we'll be.
Spotify is very difficult to get on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the nice thing is that once you release your RSS feed to a ton of different channels, it makes it pretty streamlined. Like you just have to launch it first of all, and then once you launch it, then it's kind of a plug and play. So once you put your podcast up on a weekly basis, and you have all of your channels kind of confirmed at that point, then it becomes pretty easy. So figure out what channels you want to do, and then once you get your RSS feed up, it should be distributed to a good amount of platforms, including like iTunes, like there's Pocket Cast, there's
I know there's I think there's a company called Spreaker that also like distributes it for multiple channels at once. I think that is a paid one, but they will handle that for you. You sign up, you give it to them. Sometimes they'll also handle the ads if you want to monetize, and they'll just feed it out.
You shouldn't have to target one specifically. Like there should be tools that help you distribute across the board. Really fast, we do use Twitch for live streaming, though sometimes Microholic will use Mixer, and that's only for live streaming period. Once we have the VODs finished though, we then upload it to YouTube, but we see our biggest numbers coming from podcasts in general. Just because it's so much more accessible. So podcast first, YouTube second, Twitch third, in terms of numbers at the end. So keep that in mind than what is more accessible to people. Live streaming isn't nearly as accessible, but VODs are.
Yeah.
I know on some of the channels that I play on, if there's any donations or Twitch subs, our DM will often give us an advantage dice that we can use to roll. We just have a pool of them. If we ever fail badly, which is often, we can just take one of those and roll it, which gives the audience a bit of participation, but sometimes people can suggest items or suggest things which our DM might pick up on.
Wild magic surges.
I love this question. We do a ton of stuff with C-Team and Acting as a whole. So we found out that at the very beginning of C-Team, people wanted to be involved with the game. And so we introduced what we call charges, and people who basically give bits to players, allow the players to use abilities, and they can use their charges for that.
And these are special abilities made up by the DM.
Yeah, that could be like advantage, disadvantage. You can spend a certain amount to give another player disadvantage, to give the DM disadvantage. You can use it for giant abilities. But what we also found out is we want people to impact the story as well. And so we created a poll system, and then when we came to PAX Oz, I think it was last year or maybe 2 years ago, a lot of people said, well, the time difference really messes with us being able to be a part of the community. So then we rolled out a poll that launches on Monday or Tuesday of that week, so that people who aren't in the most convenient of time zones can still participate. For AC Inc., we do Jackbox integration with trivia before the show starts. And then I know that there are a lot of extensions that you can use on Twitch as well, and I would definitely check those out. That like Dice Camera Action used to use them quite a bit, where they would have polls running through the show, and so they would be able to watch chat as they're playing, and that was a huge part of their show, was being able to chat with people while they're playing. But also letting people vote on stuff going on live.
I played in a wonderful game once where the DM made a point every session of dedicating 10 minutes to one character, and everybody else was in chat, reacting, talking. So it was a bit less of a mechanical, technical thing and much more of a story thing, where the DM took it upon himself to give the players that opportunity to hang out in chat with everybody while it was one other player's kind of turn to get some backstory or a flashback or a dream or something. And that was really wonderful as a player to be able to spend at least 10 minutes every game just in chat interacting with people.
Do you want to roll your dice?
We also didn't get to roll the dice over here as well, whoever last answered the second question, but we'll go to you first.
It's a 2.
Who had the second question earlier? Do you want to roll the dice at all? Is this the second question? Oh no!
It's only the morning.
It's day 1.
5 questions, because because we've only got about 10 minutes left, so we want everyone to ask their questions.
Let's get someone on the back.
Yeah.
This freaky mask.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'll take it on because I can't actually talk through it. I've been DMing for about 7 years, and the number one question I always get asked is by people wanting to jump in is, what is your number one tip for a brand new DM first game starting off? What do you recommend?
Just wing it.
I was going to say, plan for A, B, and C. Expect X, Y, and Z from your players. Like, don't think they'll ever stick to what you plan.
Those are two very different answers.
And before we begin, I would like to give you a quick lowdown of what we are doing here today. Today we have our lovely dungeon masters, and they are going to be telling you a lovely story. And whenever I say to do something, they will have to do it.
My name is Blanket Masterpiece. I'm a dragonborn sorcerer, and I'm not a cop. And